Welcome everyone and happy end of January. Many of you know Elizabeth Doherty, who's Chapter 20's former Young Eagles co-coordinator and now a Young Aviators advisor. She's a catalyst behind many of Chapter 20's current youth initiatives, which strive to nurture kids of all ages who are interested in aviation. Many of you have heard this information in bits and pieces and can help fill in the gaps. But because we have so many new members coming in, she's going to answer the most common questions and then open the floor to yours too. So without further ado, let's start off with the fireside chat. Welcome, Elizabeth. To start off, what programs does Chapter 20 offer for younger kids?
That's a really good question. And actually, I would love anyone who has kids 14 or younger to send me an email and tell us that it's okay to put you on an email list to start a youth program. Because we have something that's really geared towards high school kids, some of the younger kids feel left out for having an ongoing program, even though most chapters don't have an ongoing program. So I have a parent volunteer who has offered to create an event for the kids who are younger. If at some point we can do it in person, there's something called Young Eagles Workshops, which is a program that National gives us so you can have a hands-on experience. And as soon as we're able to meet in person, we plan to host one of those. But in the meanwhile, if we have enough interest, I'd be happy to host an event specifically for the younger kids, because often on this meeting we talk a lot about high school and above. And I would like everyone to feel included. So if you send me an email, my email in the chat, I will compile a list of the kids who are younger. I know some of you, I think Asher is on the line today. So please, let's get that list going so that we can do something, but understand that it's going to be from scratch. It's something we've never done before.
Yeah, I understand you have a long-time involvement in educational equity. How have you incorporated the goal of equity into EAA Chapter 20's youth programs?
One of the reasons that we have expanded the program is to attract and support any student who's interested in aviation. And right now, aviation, like most places, has a huge equity problem in terms of people of color and women are underrepresented, and it's an ongoing problem. And so right now the stats are about 10% of pilots are and flight engineers are women, and the numbers for people of color, I don't have exact numbers, but they're even worse. And so one of the things I've done as a goal for each one of our youth programs is to actively encourage recruitment into the community by our members. So for example, young aviators who are high school kids, I've challenged them to go out and see, do you know a female student who's interested? Do you know a person of color who's interested? And our chapter has done an amazing job of, this is like, it's still a difficult issue to talk about race, but we have a leadership board for our airplane build, and 6 of 8 on the board identify as people of color, and 2 of them are women. So through our youth programs, we're bashing down that disrepresentation, and that doesn't mean that to the exclusion of anyone who doesn't fall into those 2 categories, but the goal is really to have a diverse community and then feed into the professions that are related with aviation, creating that pipeline that everyone talks about. And so we feel like we're seeding through education and support at the younger levels, and it is an explicit goal that we have to support.
One of the most common questions you get is about scholarships for kids who are interested in aviation. Can you talk about some of the opportunities available?
Yeah, and I'm going to skip over to my notes to make sure I don't miss anything here. Okay, so the first scholarship that the chapter offers is to a program called Air Academy, and that is a national program the EAA sponsors on its campus in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. And it's for kids between the ages of 12 and 17. And in past years, the chapter has sent 1 or 2 students because we hadn't really built up the number of kids who participated in an ongoing basis. Last year, because we had so many kids interested, we really, for the first time, reached out to raise funds for camp scholarships, and we actually have funding for a total of 6 scholarships. Now, those have been awarded because last year's participants, when the camp was canceled, rolled over to this year. However, anyone in those ages who wants to participate in the camp, which is 5 days of being with kids from all over the nation who just love aviation. The National has a lot of scholarships. So pretty much if you want to go, we can help you find a scholarship if there's a financial barrier. And that's one of the things I'm really, really proud of. So that is on the younger side of things. But usually it's kids who want to become pilots or are looking to college who ask this question, and parents are especially interested in this question. So the first and most important scholarship that we offer for someone who wants to study to become a private pilot is called a race scholarship. And this is extremely prestigious. The chapter has to apply to National and ask to be selected as one of the chapters that is then allowed to award a race scholarship. And we have 2 race scholars. One is Jack, who has his license now, and one is Jaden, who's on the call and also has his license now. The board of directors has a committee that handles the process of selection, and we're still waiting to find out if our chapter has been selected. But if it has, then we'll have a selection process, and that scholarship is worth $10,000, which takes a student from the start of learning to be a pilot all the way through soloing to be a pilot. Jaden, does that pretty much capture it?
It's less of 2 soloing. It's more of they're gonna give you $10,000 and attempt for you to get your private pilot's license within a year. That's
Thank you. And another local scholarship that has the same effect. It takes you from kind of beginning to the end. It happens with there's an age requirement, and it usually falls between junior and senior year of high school. And that's called the Upward Scholarship, and that cycle is open now. And the deadline is actually coming up to apply for it. So if you're a junior in high school right now and are interested in that, you basically go to flight school full time for the whole summer, but it's paid for. And that is, again, a pretty amazing scholarship. And I know that they have had, I believe, between 3 and 5 scholarships, depending on that year's fundraising, that they have awarded. And that scholarship cycle is open right now. EAA National also gives scholarships. And for all of you out there, the scholarship cycle is open right now, and the deadlines are coming up. And the same is true for an organization called AOPA. And because the aviation field is still hungry for younger pilots, I should say new pilots, because so many older pilots are retiring, there are a lot of national award programs, and one source of those is called the Aviation Career Podcast. I'll say that again, the Aviation Career Podcast. And they maintain an up-to-date directory of all the aviation scholarships available across the country. And also just work the web. So I have written multiple letters of recommendations for students for scholarships, and we're kind of waiting with fingers crossed to see if those scholarships are won or awarded. And then college is also kind of becomes a whole different matter, and there are different fellowships, and if people are at that point, I can help support them. I wanted to go into more detail there because I pretty much get that question from every family. And so if you have follow-ups, I recommend that you check out these sources. I think Anand can cut and paste the URLs into the chat for me. But I wanted to stop here and see actually if anyone has questions about scholarships, because like I said, that is one of the most common questions I get.
Yeah, here's the link.
All good?
Yeah, feel free to put any questions in the chat, or even unmute.
Okay. And before the event, we did get some questions that I want to loop back to, because one of these becomes kind of relevant to what we're doing right now. And the question was from Asher, and it said, if you are 10 years old, how do you start learning how to fly a plane? And the answer is you learn everything you can about aviation. So if your family's screen time rules allow it, there are a lot of YouTube videos that are very relevant. And there's also Infinite Flight, which is an online flight simulator. And I would also recommend, once the Hiller Museum reopens, to buy a family membership, because that includes their very, very good flight sim. And there are experts who are there when that is open. So it's every Saturday in normal times. And so you'll more than make your money back doing that. And I also recommend, because I was thinking a lot about this question, because this is, again, something that is often asked, is just to read a lot. Figure out what you're interested in. Is it military flying? Is it commercial flying? Is it being a recreational pilot? And just read as much as you can and watch good quality videos online as much as you can. And the other resource is the program that we're planning to have. And if you want to talk to a pilot one-on-one, you can ask me to help set up a Zoom call. And we have done that for different occasions. So, for example, we had in 2 different cases girls who were turning 8, and we couldn't offer them one. We actually were able to arrange to have a Young Eagles flight for her birthday when the COVID regulations were allowing that to happen. In another case, we couldn't because it wasn't possible. And the educational ambassador from Southwest Airlines did a Zoom call with each of those girls. So if there is something you're particularly interested in, I can help connect you one-on-one with a Zoom call, typically for kind of anything in aviation. So, and some of those relationships turn into mentorships with our local pilots, and sometimes the pilot who does the call or the professional does the call may say, here are some better resources, and help encourage you to move on.
Yeah. How can adults support Chapter 20 youth programs?
Okay, this is really exciting because in the past, the only opportunity was to work at a Young Eagles rally, an event that would happen 10 months out of the year, where we would give these free flights. And our chapter is very special that we did these so frequently. And so there was an opportunity to volunteer organizing these events. And there was also an opportunity for students to volunteer as ground crew once you turn 12. And there are 2 important points from that opportunity. The first one is that every scholarship application is going to ask you how you contributed to the aviation community. And in the past, there weren't as many opportunities to do that. So one of my goals has been to create opportunities for students to be able to give back to the Chapter 20 community. And I'm going to talk about a spin-off from that. So the talk series that we have right now is a spin-off from that. So what happened is this summer, there were a group of high school kids who missed that camaraderie of having the Young Eagles events where they would get together and see each other and see pilots and be able to contribute to the community by being the ground crew. And Jaden, who's on the call, really organized that into an opportunity with training, and we were really successful in drawing in some new student members who are interested. And then my second point is I'd like to look back to a question that we skipped over a little bit. Oh, I'm sorry. And so these talks, Anand really took charge of, and that's why we have 2 talks each month. The first one on the second Saturday at 10:30 is the introduction to the chapter's general meeting. And by setting this up and having such outstanding speakers, we've had people log in from 5-6 different countries to participate in these talks. And they kind of settled into the rhythm of the first one being more general aviation, so that the pilots and other members of EAA Chapter 20 would be interested in it. And all of those are on YouTube. You can go back and watch them. I especially love the one with Alan Eustace. And then on the 4th Saturday, the intent here is to have it be really casual, to have a fireside chat, to do what I'm doing right now, which is really lay out the resources that are available to you and help connect students with speakers who are interested in supporting them. So for example, college students supporting high school students, or national board member spoke, which is a huge big deal. And he is very interested in our chapter, and I've been talking to him. So that's the talk series. So it started in August, and it is a huge hit. And it's all thanks to Anand, who's very humble about it. But then the next thing that happened, and this is what a lot of buzz about, a lot of you are actually participating in, Chapter 20 built an RP-12, and it flew in September. And it was a big decision whether the chapter would do this again. It's a big financial commitment. It's a big logistical commitment. It's a big time commitment. And it's done in kits. And so the board decided to support the first kit, which is the tail kit. And we actively fundraised for that, and were able to buy it. Now you need to be 15 or older to participate in this project. And if you are all signed up, that's great. If not, Jaden is the president of the Student Leadership Board. He's on the chat today. We can help get you all lined up to participate. So do a private chat with Jaden. That's a surprise to him. He didn't know I was going to say that. But anyway, we can't start building. We can't do hands-on because of COVID. So the kit has arrived. We made sure all the parts were there, following COVID guidelines of people being, very, like, one person working on it. And it's a little frustrating because that's where we are. But in the meanwhile, we're doing what we can. Large fundraising is a big deal. Recruiting mentors is a giant deal, and we'll have to look at the participants to see who's on, who are mentors. And we're also encouraging all the students to start reading the plans, because they have almost Wikipedia type sections where you really need the background. And again, we're lucky because there are also a lot of YouTube videos and a lot of chapter videos that can help educate you about the build right now. But it is limited to 15 and older. Jaden, do you want to chime in with anything there? Put you on the spot again.
Does
Does that sound about right for a description?
Yeah, it's pretty correct. Yeah.
And so that's that program. And then I'm going to circle back to what you actually asked me before, which is how can adults support? So the first way is if you have technical expertise, project management expertise, are just really committed to helping our leaders and all of the participants get this project done, whether it's fundraising or riveting. We welcome adult mentors, and we really look for people who are committed to seeing this project from start to finish. And I am thrilled, and you've met many of the mentors on past calls who have experience and are generously stepping up to do this. But you don't have to have built a plane before in order to be able to help us. And you can reach out to me, and I can help pair you up with a student to mentor. And this is also the part where I give a pitch to, please consider giving us some money. This is a very expensive project. And if you do want to donate, you can do that on the EAA20.org website. And back to a kind of your paperwork thing. Please, if you haven't, go to the website and register or update your profile. There is a form there, and it's super easy. Dues is suggested at $30 a year, but it's not required. And we're building a new email list, and we really want current information. So it will give you options to receive information, for example, about the youth programs. And we highly encourage everyone to go and register. You need to be 13 or older in order to register. So we really encourage the parents to register and be on the email list and share the information with their students. But everyone who's on the call, please go to the website and register so that we can send you the information that you want.
Are there any other questions? So just put them in the chat.
I'm sorry, there was another thing that I got a question about that we got in advance. And the question was, how do you get started with Young Eagles, and is there a cost to it? And I wanted to say that the pilots donate all of their time, and when they're doing flights, the cost of flying an airplane. And so there is no fee involved at all. And in terms of young aviators, some people are surprised there also is not a fee to participate in the build, but we take the approach that everyone needs to help fundraise. So for example, if we want to, spend $250 to get some tools we need, we'll put out a call for everyone and to all of the families, and that way people can contribute what they feel comfortable contributing. We never want to have cost be any sort of impediment to helping a student move forward with their goals and what they want to learn about.
Elizabeth, thanks for the lucid explanation of all of EAA Chapter 20's programs. To everyone else, at the EAA, we have a plethora of opportunities available for people of all ages to avail. A few of these include scholarships, building planes, and mentoring. Please shoot us an email at youngaviators@eaa20.org to learn more. Lastly, to keep updated with the Young Aviators, follow our Instagram at YoungAviators1 and our YouTube channel at tinyurl.com/YoungAviators3. We have published all our past keynotes and will be publishing this fireside chat too, so you can view them at any time. And of course, please share with anyone interested.